Hey guys, I'm Coach Michael Burt, the Super Coach. Every week, unless I'm in another state, coming to you live every single week to do three things for you. Multiply your life, multiply your money, and multiply your business. Because you know what I believe? I believe everybody needs a good coach in life. And here's another thing I believe. I believe that every one of you watching this show today, including me, every person out there needs to close down a department. Yes, you heard it right. You need to close it down in your house. You need to close it down in your business. You need to close it down in your life. You need to shut down the excuse department. And so today, I'm going to tackle two of the biggest excuses, really three of the biggest excuses that people use for not taking action on something that could clearly help them in every area of their life. The time excuse, the money excuse, and the you don't believe it'll work excuse. Today, folks, we're shutting down the excuse department. We don't whine, we don't complain, and we don't make excuses. You're watching Super Coach, and I'm Coach Michael Burt.
Everybody needs a coach in life. Coaching businesses and entrepreneurs like you to spike an additional 40% to your bottom line. Michael Burt is a multi-championship coach, best-selling author, trainer, motivator, and all-around super coach. Now, from the Greatness Factory Studios, this is Super Coach.
Hey guys, I'm Coach Michael Burt, the Super Coach. Another week, another exciting time. We've been all over the country since the last time I saw you. Seattle, Washington, Denver, Colorado, Florida, Houston, Texas. We've really been all over the world because I believe we got to get our message out to the world. But when you coach as many people as I do, one of the things you consistently see every single week, and you hear it over and over and over, and you eventually become numb to it, is the concept of an excuse. I hear so many excuses in a week. And so today I thought, here's what I would do. I want to encourage you, if you're out there watching the show today, I want to encourage you to learn how to eliminate these excuses, because this past month I was teaching this concept of consideration. And a consideration is an internal thought that prohibits a person from taking some type of action. Well, in my opinion, that is rooted in excuse. So here's an excuse. Well, it'll take too long, it'll cost too much, it'll be too hard, it won't work. I don't believe it'll work. I don't believe I can get them to do it. Somebody else owns the market, I own the market. These are all considerations that we need to eliminate from your life, but they're really excuses. So what I want to do is I want to break down the anatomy of an excuse, and I want to show you the three common excuses that people use, because I think the excuses are simple. It's time. I don't have the time. I'm too busy. I don't have the money, or I don't see the value in it, or I don't believe in something. I don't believe in me. I don't believe in them. Therefore, I'm not going to invest in them. And I hear this over and over and over. So let's break down the anatomy of an excuse. What is an excuse? An excuse is a self-proclaimed opt-out clause. Now you say, why self-proclaimed? You could do it. You are capable of doing it. You are just choosing not to do it. And so when you think about this concept of the excuse, it is an internal consideration that prohibits action. Well, I'm too busy, I'm too tired, I'm too exhausted, we don't have the money, it costs too much. These are all excuses that keep a person from taking action. Here's a big one: it won't work. You don't know it won't work until you actually do it. But that's what we hear, is we constantly hear these excuses over and over and over. They're self-proclaimed opt-out clauses. Now, a few weeks ago, I had Ed Mylett on my show. Ed Mylett is supposedly worth $400 million. And he was talking about what he wanted, the man he wanted to be was, when at the end of his life, he wanted to meet the man he was supposed to be, and he didn't want that man to be shocked or surprised that they weren't the same person. Okay, so you have this vision in your brain, the applied imagination. You have something in your brain about the man you're supposed to be, the woman you're supposed to be, the business person you're supposed to be. And the only thing that's going to keep you from becoming that is the consideration of an excuse. Like, I don't have what they have. I don't have access to what they have access to. I don't have the money they have. I didn't come from a lucky lineage that they come from. So what you start doing is you start making excuses. Now, here's the example I used to use. When I was a women's basketball coach, I started off by saying this: I'll be a good coach, but I'll never be a championship coach, because that's reserved for other people out there. It's not reserved for me. I'll be a good coach, but because I don't have the things they have. Like, this is a football school. It's not a basketball school. These are all excuses. I don't have the resources. I don't have the staff. I don't have the history. I don't have the tradition. Then I began, after about 5 years of going, well, maybe I could become a championship coach. See, now I'm moving from I can't do it, somebody else can do it, but I can't do it, to maybe I can do it, to really in my 6th or 7th year, I begin to say I'm going to do it, and there is no excuse for me not doing it. There's no self-proclaimed opt-out clauses. I'm not whining, I'm not complaining, I'm not making excuses. I'm only focused on getting the result. So now, when I started my speaking and coaching business, it was like I could never be like a Dr. Stephen Covey, have a $264 million company, or like an Ed Mylett, or a Cardone, or a whoever. Then it's like, well, maybe I could be as good as them. And then it's I'm going to be as good as them. So you have got to go through this cycle. And I was telling a guy at WFG today as we were talking, he's like, some of our young people can't sell at a high level. And I said, because they don't have a certainty about them. And they don't have a certainty about them because they haven't practiced enough repetitions to become world class. See, world class people eliminate excuses. They close down the excuse department. Well, we couldn't do it. We can't get in touch with them. It's real hard to get contact. They're real busy. These are all things that people say to themselves, which are internal considerations. Now, we come back from the break. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to tackle the 3 biggest excuses that people make. I don't have the time, which is a confusion of time, by the way. When a person tells you they don't have the time, here's what they're really saying. It ain't a priority to them. They don't care enough about it. So they use the excuse of time. I don't have the time. I'm too busy. Most people that tell you they're busy, here's what I would tell you. They ain't busy at all. If you want something done, give it to the busiest person you know, and they will get it done, okay? Lazy people think they're busy, and they're very unproductive all day long producing anything that bears any fruit. But they use the excuse of I'm too busy. Well, what time did you wake up this morning? What are you listening to on the way into work this morning? How many phone calls have you made? What have you done to get in touch with them? How many times have you followed up? Are you asking for referrals? These are all excuses people make. I don't have time. If I followed you for 24 hours, I looked at your planner, and I figured this out. You don't have a plan. That's why every day when you show up for work, you're in a reactive posture. You're in a defensive posture. Now you use the excuse that you don't have time. No, you got up late, you drug around, you didn't have a plan, you don't have a high value. We're going to tackle the confusion of time. Then we're going to tackle the confusion of this. I don't have the money. And I'm going to show you that there's a difference between what something costs and what it's worth. There's a difference between it cost me this, but here's what it's worth. Too many people get caught up in what something cost. They don't understand, okay? And I'll use some examples to get you think, because some of you use the excuse of I don't have the money. You got the money, but you're spending it on things that are not bearing any fruit. And the third excuse is I don't believe it'll work. I don't believe it'll work, or I don't believe they'll do it. So why invest any time and energy into them? And if that's your mindset, which is the mindset of a lot of leaders, like they're not going to do it. So let's just give up hope on them and let's not invest any time and energy into them, right? That's an excuse. Some of them will do it. I'll show you what the percentage is of people to do it and how you get all your money back. We want to eliminate it because, folks, I'm closing it down. It's shut down. We done got rid of all the excuse makers. The excuse department is closed on Super Coach. When we come back, we're tackling how you overcome these 3 excuses. Hey guys, I'm Coach Michael Burt, the Super Coach, and I've spent the last 25 years of my life coaching people around the world really to get an elevation in their careers and in their life through very specific structures. First as a women's championship basketball coach, and now as a business coach to some of the top entrepreneurs, sales professionals, and solopreneurs in the world. One new product we added to our equation this year was a retreat in Seaside, Florida. We purchased a house down in Seaside, Florida we named Seabatical, and we believe in retreating to attack. So we go down to Seaside once a month and we spend 3 days with like-minded people on their business, about how to get a lift in their sales and in their structure and in their process. And then we give those retreats a theme. Well, this fall we're doing a very specific retreat for owners and founders of companies. If you founded or created a company from scratch, just like I did, You have unique problems. You have unique complexities. You have employee issues and sales issues and organizational issues and follow-up issues, customer service issues. And so this fall in November, we're going down to Seaside to do nothing but the Founders Retreat. November 15th through the 18th. It's going to be an incredible retreat. Only business owners, solopreneurs, or people that started and are trying to grow their business. So I encourage you, come down to Seaside with me. Get acclimated with our coaching program. If you're not ready for the big coaching program, or if you're in the program, go to Seaside and get intimate coaching. We do formalized sessions in the morning. We do one-to-one in the afternoon. Go to coachburt.com/retreats. We have limited availability for each of these retreats because the house has 7 bedrooms. Every bedroom has its own bathroom. We get to spend great time together at dinner and over coaching sessions. So go to coachburt.com/retreats and sign up for the Founders Retreat in November. Hey guys, welcome back to Super Coach. Here's an excuse. Here's what I hear everybody say that goes with us to Florida, to Seaside on the retreats. Incredible clarity, hung out with cool people, can't wait to go back. Here's what the people say they can't go. I'm too busy. I got to get on an airplane. I can't be gone on the weekends. I mean, it's just the excuse. Listen, if you want me to put you in proximity to a guy running a $50 million company, you know what you may have to do? You may have to be a little inconvenienced. Here's the deal. Success doesn't come in a box with a bow around it. Okay? It don't come packaged up in a UPS box that comes to your door when you want to, right? Success is inconvenient. It's not always convenient the way you want it to do. The guy at WFG asked me, could I speak on Saturday this week? I'm already speaking on Saturday from 9 to 11. He said, man, I'm bringing them all in on Saturday. I'm already flying down to Florida with my family that night. Okay, I was supposed to be a day off for me. He said, look, Coach, we're bringing them in on Saturday. If you want to speak to us, you got to come in on Saturday. You know what I said? I'll do it. I'll put my smile on, I'll bring the energy, and I'll do it. And there's no excuse. Because here's what I know. To get in at WFG at a national level, I got to get in at a local level. And I got to be good. And then I got to go regional. And then I got to go super regional. And then I got to go national. A person that's looking for an excuse, when you're looking for a way out, any old excuse will do. And my philosophy is the people that you got to beg to get in are always the first ones trying to get out. Okay? Because they will find an excuse. If there's any excuse at all, they'll find it. I know people that don't show up for work when it rains. I know real estate agents that don't go to work when it rains. Like when I was in Florida last week, I was in Fort Lauderdale doing the big speaking engagements, and here's what they said. Hey, it's raining, Coach, so there won't be as many people show up today because it's raining. And I'm like, what? Because it's raining? Like why would a person let an external factor like the rain affect their ability? So let's go over to the board, Jack, and let's talk about this. Because if this is your mindset, let's get real with each other. If this is your mindset, you ain't having any success, okay? And let me tell you one excuse you use. Well, they got an advantage. You know, I see successful people that have been doing something for years. Here's what they say. Well, they were lucky. They were lucky. We got a guy in our coaching program, Derek Godwin, multimillionaire. People tell him all the time, well, he's lucky. Well, he spent 4 years away from his family. He spent 10 nights at his house with his family and a newborn baby. 4 years, 10 nights over that cycle to have that kind of success. So was he lucky, or did he just say there's no excuses? So for you, here's what I want you to know. The 3 excuses are these. Number 1, I don't have the time. I don't have the time, which is a clear sign to me is you don't think it's a priority. Just too busy. I can show you, no matter who you are in the world, no matter what production level you're producing at, I can show you sometimes somebody doing 10 times the amount of production you're doing. So I don't like the excuse of I don't have time, because if it was a priority to you, you'd make time. Anything that's a priority in your life, you make time for. So here's the deal. What this is a confusion of priorities. When a person says that they don't have time, it's just a confusion of priorities. Okay? So here's what I say. When you set a dominant focus in the future, that's your B, that's what you're moving toward in your life. It is a priority, okay? You are working backward from that dominant focus and taking intentional steps. There is a high value of your time, and there is a low value of your time. So when you're mapping out your day, most people are not doing that, which is why they have a confusion of time. One definition of confusion is randomness in motion. They get out and they create a bunch of activity that goes absolutely nowhere. They don't make any money. They don't create anything impactful. They don't move the ball down the field. They got a confusion of time. Listen, time is finite. It's fixed. We can create more time, and you see me try to create time with an airplane, with a bus. I create more time. You can do that, okay? But it is going to cost you some money. Well, here's what the next thing you say. Well, I don't have any money. Well, you don't have any money because you don't solve problems. You don't solve enough problems in the world for people to compensate you and exchange their money for your value. So let's go back to this one. I don't have the time. Typically, this is a clear indicator to me that you don't have a dominant focus and you don't have something in the future to work toward. And because you don't have something to work toward, you're confused about time. Okay? Am I busy? Am I productive? That's what you ought to be asking yourself. So this is the concept we teach in the program that Scott Nagy gave me between bluegill and blue marlin. A bluegill is a little problem you wake up and chase that really yields no big fruit. A blue marlin is a big one. So here's the way I look at time. If I'm riding down the road and I've got 30 minutes, I can chase a bluegill during that 30 minutes or I can chase a blue marlin. So every decision I filter through when it comes to time, is this a bluegill or is this a blue marlin? Is this a high priority or is this a low priority? Is this a high value of my time or is this a low value of my time? So here's the deal. I can find time. I can get up earlier. I can work out earlier. I can spend time with my family earlier. I can be more effective with my time throughout the day. So one of the big excuses people use is I don't have time, which is just the indicator that it ain't a priority. Well, here's the deal. You're never going to have time. You're never going to have time. Because if you're constantly working and you can't create enough value, you can't buy time. You can't buy time because you don't have any money. The way you buy time is have money. The way you have money is sell something. The way you sell something, solve a problem. So if this is your confusion, so like I see broke people all the time say, well, I don't have time to come to your coaching program. The whole coaching program is going to teach you how to make money. It's going to teach you how to have more time, more energy, more confidence, more freedom, more skills. It's going to expand your business, which will buy you more time. Okay? It'll buy you more convenience. Okay? So the second thing people use, Jack, is they say, I don't have any money. So I want to explain the difference between cost and worth, because this is very important. When you're looking at something and you say, I could put an investment into this. Let's take a book, for example. People don't buy books because they say, well, it's $25 for the book, okay? And that cost $25. And I could never see myself spending $25 on a book. You know why? Problem number 3, they don't believe they'll read the book. They don't believe the book will help them. What if I told you every book I've ever read, including the bad ones, help me do something? What if they help me make $1 million more or help 1 million more people? Or there's one concept in there that helps me live life in a different perspective. What was the worth of the book? Was it worth $25 or was it worth $1 million? You see, the people that we coach, if they pay whatever a month, $4.99 a month, all the way up to $4,000 a month. If a person gets in our 25K level and they spend $2,000 a month roughly and they yield a $250,000 return off that because they learn one strategy, what did it cost versus what it's worth? Was it worth $25,000 or was it worth $250,000? You see what I'm saying here? And so until you understand this concept, you spend a lot of time what's called majoring in the minors, nickel and diamond things. Well, that's why Walgreens are on every corner. You walk in there and say, it's very expensive, Walgreens, but what's it worth to you to be able to stop on the way home and pick something up versus go to Walmart? What's it worth to you? What's a sandwich in an airport worth if they charge you $10 for the sandwich and it costs $10, but what's it worth to save you leaving the airport, getting in your car, going back through security to get a sandwich for $2? What's the cost and what's the worth? So people use this excuse a lot, like I don't want to invest in that because I could lose it. I don't want to invest in it because I don't know what it's worth. Well, the only reason you're not doing that is because you don't believe in you or you don't believe in them. See these excuses that people are making? And I got to close down this excuse department. Listen, if you're not hitting your sales goals, it's because you're not very good at selling. If you're not hitting your lifestyle goals, it's because you're not very good at something. You're not good at solving problems. We have to eliminate and shut down the excuses that you're making, which are self-proclaimed opt-outs. Because guess what? We can't. If you show up with a desire, that's the heart. If you show up with a little bit of confidence, we can grow your knowledge. We can grow your skill. But if you come with batteries included, you show up where you should be every day, we can take you to a much better level. But we got to show up with these things, and we got to eliminate these excuses. Like what? Take too long, cost too much, be too hard, it's not worth it. All of these excuses that you've been using are internal considerations. Now, let's take a break. When we come back, I'm going to tackle this last one, because the number one reason people don't invest in their people Mortgage people don't invest in them, real estate people, financial advisor, whoever. It's because they don't believe it'll work or they don't believe they'll do it. And until you change that concept, you don't know if it's going to work, and it's not going to work for everybody, but it is going to work for people who work it. So we're watching Super Coach. I'm Coach Michael Burt.
Hey, are you ready to make more money? MyDealerCapital.com is hiring sales professionals from the auto, banking, and finance industry. Are you tired of capped commissions? Are you making six figures? Then MyDealerCapital.com is the answer if you're looking for a better opportunity. We have positions available nationwide. If you're interested in working for one of the fastest growing automotive capital companies in the country, then go to MyDealerCapital.com and contact us at sales@MyDealerCapital.com. Your future awaits, and it's much brighter with MyDealerCapital.com.
Welcome back to Super Coach. Got to see my good friend Clay Whitaker in Denver, Colorado last week. Happened to be flying into Denver to speak. Saw one of my good friends, Clay Whitaker, founder of My Dealer Capital. He's working on some monster things, man. Some monster things. So proud of you, Clay. Good to see you. Today's podcast brought to you by My Dealer Capital, and it's brought to you by my good friends at Hotze Health and Wellness. I went to Hotze Health and Wellness in Houston, Texas for one reason: find my superhuman powers. I said, Doc Hotze, I got to go out there and coach all kinds of people. I'm speaking 4 or 5 times a day. I need a bunch of energy. I said, Coach, we got to get this right. We got to get this right. We got to get this right. And you're going to feel like you're on fire when you get all of this stuff right. Because if you want to live a life of potency and you want to live a life aggressively, you got to get everything going right in your body. And as you age, your body naturally declines. You got to get all your levels clicking on every cylinder. And so I told Doc Hotze, hey, work it out for me, man. So go to Hotze Health and Wellness and tell them Coach Burt sent you, because I've already gone through the regimen, working on it right now to have the kind of energy I have every day. Now, let's finish this up. We all make excuses. Let's just call it what it is. I don't want to do it. I don't feel like doing it. Professionals never listen to their feelings. There is a huge difference between amateurs who show up and say, I don't feel like doing it, and professionals who say, it don't matter if I feel like it or not. Tonight I'm teaching Monster Producer. Tomorrow morning I'm teaching it again. Then I'm teaching it again. Then I'm teaching certification. Then Saturday morning I'm doing it again. Then I'm going to WFG to speak again. It don't matter if I feel like it or not. I'm going to show up and deliver over and over and over and over, because one of the things people look for is, are you reliable? Are you consistent? Do you show up every day with batteries included? Do you make excuses? Do you opt out? When it gets tough, do you give up? Do you quit? Do you give in? Do you blame somebody else? The people who really do big things in the world, all the guys I'm looking at doing retreats with. And we just added Hugh Freeze, former head coach at Ole Miss, on the Bounce Back Retreat in October. You're going to want to go to that. The Founders Retreat. I'm looking at doing retreats with Ed Milet, Tim Story, Tim Grover. Another retreat with Bradley. None of these people make excuses. You look at them and you say, hey Ed Milet, how many hours do you spend making excuses every day for something? Because you can't hold max out in one hand and excuses in the other. You follow what I'm saying? So the third reason people make excuses, we got time, the excuse of time, which is really just is not a priority. You don't care. The next time the person says to me, I don't have time, I'm going to say, so you're telling me you really don't care? Is that what you're telling me? Because if you did care, you'd make time. That simple. 2, I don't have the money. It's because you don't understand the difference between cost and worth, and you can't solve a problem that people would compensate you for. And number 3, you don't believe it'll work, or you don't believe they'll do it. Now, we coach a lot of people out in the country that are in charge of other people. We coach real estate brokers, real estate team leaders. We coach mortgage companies. We coach insurance companies. And here's what I consistently hear. Coach, we don't want to invest any money into them because they won't go and do it. I understand that. They should have some money in it. I get it. But what if they never get exposed to learning? See, when we know better, we do better. So we were working on a speaking engagement the other day with a guy who wanted me to come speak to his team. 65 agents. Great. 65 agents. We said it'll be $10,000. Oh my gosh, $10,000. That cost is way too much. Well, hold on a second. What's it worth to have 16% of those agents pick up one more deal a month? 2 more deals a month? What's it worth to have somebody dynamic and on fire? What's it worth to you? It's worth a whole lot more than $10,000. The way you're looking at this is all wrong. The way you're looking at this is wrong, right? If I could invest a little bit of time every single day doing something, like going to Dr. Hodesy, what's it cost versus what's it worth? What's it worth to you to have unlimited energy? What's it worth to you to get home at night and not be tired to play with your kids? What's it worth to you? Don't matter what it costs. You understand what I'm saying? So what I see a lot of people say is, I don't believe they'll do it. It won't work. Well, number one, you don't know that it won't work until you do it. Okay? Number two, if you don't believe in your people that they'll go do something with it, what does it say about you as their leader? I hear people say that all the time. Well, they won't do it, Coach. Here's what I say. Put me on the phone with the person who's in charge of these people. You know, they say, well, you're talking to them. I'm like, well, apparently I'm not. Because if I was talking to the person who was in charge of these people, you could actually get them to do what you want them to do, right? So I hear this all the time, like, well, they don't do it, and, I can't get them to do it, and they don't show up, and they don't follow along. Well, why do you accept it? Why do you tolerate it? Why do you let them stay on the team? Why did you hire them? If we could just find a person that hired all these bozos, then we'd be in good shape. So what I think you got to start doing is you got to eliminate this excuse. Look, when you're on this team, there's expectations that come along with this team. And if you don't meet those expectations, you don't get to play on the cool kids team. You don't get to play at the highest levels with us if you don't meet these expectations. You don't need to go home and bitch about these people. You need to go home and get rid of these people. Okay? So every team breaks down to this. On a scale of this, there's 30 people on a team. Okay? There's 30 people on a team. 4.8 of those people are going to completely buy in. Do exactly what you want. It's where all your money's going to be made. Then there's going to be 10 people that kind of get on board. Then there's going to be 10 people that maybe get on board, but it's going to take a long time to get them on board. And then there's going to be 4 or 5 people who never get on board. So here's the excuse you start using. Well, we can't find any good people. And it is true that in today's economy, unemployment as low as it is harder to find good people because everybody's got work. It is harder. I will give you credit that in a low unemployment economy, people have jobs. But there's not a business around me that doesn't say help wanted. We all need more people, right? So where are they at? So they're somewhere, but there's 7.5 billion people on planet Earth. Well, one excuse is we can't find any good people. They're not out there. They're all lazy. They don't work as hard as I do. Listen, out of 7.5 billion, we're not looking for all. We're just looking for some good ones. So for you got to get out of this mind that I don't believe in me, I don't believe it'll work. I don't believe it'll work, I don't believe in them, which is why I'm not doing it. That's an excuse. The question should be, how do we get them on board? I hear a lot of, we're going to do a show in just a few minutes with my wife, and here's what I hear a lot of people, well, I got to get my wife on board. I can't get my wife on board. Here would be my question to you. How do we help her get on board? She does want you to be successful, don't she? She does want you to go out and be prosperous, doesn't she? She does want you to do this, doesn't she? See, that's an excuse. A lot of husbands blame things on their wife. It's an excuse. I can't get her on board with me. Well, you need to get better at selling. You need to get better at having conviction. You need to get better at showing her why she needs to be on board with you. And you may need to grow a set of you-know-what. You understand what I'm saying? Because here's the deal. You're never going to get people on board with you unless you have some conviction and you eliminate excuses. My wife hears me use excuses all the time. She needs to call me on it. She said, look, that's an excuse. So what we're doing today, guys, is we're shutting it down. We're closing this department in our personal life and in our business life. And sometimes this is why a good coach, I look at a lot of people and I'm like, man, you're not even producing at a level you could produce at. What you're doing is little baby things. I listen to you talk about baby problems. I listen to you complain about things. I listen to you make excuses. I listen to you do this. At what point do you say, how do I justify to my own self performing at such a little level? When I get around big time people, I ask myself, how do I justify playing at such a small level? How do I justify not doing what I'm capable of doing? At the end of the day, you can't justify it. So every single week, guys, I come to you and I try to tackle one thing that I know is a big problem for people. And this excuse making has gotten out of control. It's just gotten out of control. We have people that pay money every month. We can't find them. We don't hear from them. Here's what they all say. We're just so busy. We're just so busy. I bet Michael Jordan never told Tim Grover he was too busy to get coached. Okay? I bet people in the military don't go to their commander and say, you know what, I'm just too busy to train today. I'm just too busy to get better. See, here's what people do. They have eliminated the any excuse that they may have, okay? Guys, I believe you need a good coach in your life. I believe you need to perform at a higher level. I believe you need to close the excuse department. So thank you for joining us, Super Coach. I believe everybody needs a good coach, and isn't it time that I become yours? Why are you not in Monster Producer? Why are you not in a dynamic environment? Why are you letting yourself go static? How do you justify making all these excuses? See you next week on Super Coach.
Michael Burt is a multi-championship coach, best-selling author, trainer, motivator, and all-around super coach.
Hey guys, I'm Coach Michael Burt, the Super Coach. Imagine 3 days with me in New York City, the person of interest capital in the world, at an intensive person of interest advanced camp. You know, several years ago, I wrote the book Person of Interest about how you drive your status, how you get compensated at the highest levels, how you really go to work on the 6 or 7 ingredients that you need to be the #1 person in your space. This concept keeps coming up as one of the biggest concepts we have ever created. What I'd like to do is spend time with 5 people, help them find what makes them unique, help them package what makes them unique, help them sell what makes them unique. So join me in New York City. We're going to fly on a Hawker 900 private aircraft. Me, you, my wife, you and one other person can go with us. We're going to New York City the morning of October 8th. We're going to spend the 8th, 9th, and 10th working on your person of interest score. Not only that, we're going to do things people of interest do. We're going to go to cool places. We're going to do interesting things. We're going to get coached by my media coaches in New York City. You're going to get to see me do an event for some of the top owners and brokers of RE/MAX in the country while we're there. So take action. Advanced Person of Interest Camp. If you know that you have more value than what you're being compensated for, if you have a burning desire to be the go-to player in your space, if you want to be #1 versus number 10 or 4, let me help you package and sell your services in New York City. $15,000. Person of Interest, advanced camp, fly with me, spend 3 days with me, and when you walk out of there, you're going to know how to get compensated at the highest levels possible. The Person of Interest advanced camp in New York City includes your airfare, your lodging for 3 days, your food, your training and coaching, everything we do while you're in New York City as part of this experience, all inclusive with me. Person of Interest Camp, October 8th through the 10th. Fly with me to New York City.
Michael Burt is a multi-championship coach, best-selling author, trainer, motivator, and all-around super coach.